From the early days of activism.
The speaker who just started is Madeline Davis, a 32-year-old communications worker from Buffalo, New York, who just identified herself as a lesbian.
To celebrations today. Pride is rooted in Western New York.
Buffalo, Niagara Falls, and the first same-sex marriage in the state of New York, Niagara Falls. Buffalo has been at the forefront for decades.
It's a story of where the LGBTQ+ community has been and where it's going. From the voices who fought for equality to those who turned stages into statements of visibility, pride, and resilience.
When I first started doing drag, it was a lot different than it is now. It wasn't acceptable. Being gay wasn't being acceptable.
And today, those roots continue to grow in the places that bring people together. Inside bookstores.
People want to see themselves reflected in their everyday life.
To bars.
You know, we have a saying up on the wall that we've written, and it just says, you know, if you don't understand a bar or a club as a safe space, you've never been afraid to hold someone's hand in public.
Even on the baseball field, where everyone can feel seen, safe, and live out loud.
It's so inclusive, and there's no questions asked. It's what team are you on, what's your name, where do you want to play?
Because Pride is more than a parade or a month. It's a community rooted in the past, connected in the present, and growing toward the future. This is a Two on Your Side special, Western New York, rooted in pride. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Two on Your Side special, Western New York, rooted in pride. I'm Kelly Dudzik. For decades, Western New York has played an important role in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights, from early activists who helped shape the movement to community members, organizations, and allies continuing that work today. Over the next half hour, we'll look at the people, places, and moments that have helped define what pride means in Western New York. The theme of Buffalo Pride this year is an invitation to explore the deep ties that Western New York has to the gay liberation movement of the late 60s and early 70s. It was a time when LGBTQ individuals spoke out for their civil rights. Acceptance seemed impossible to many, but not Madeline Davis. She was a trailblazer from Western New York, who, as Two on Your Side's Rob Hackford reports, is rooted in pride and remembered for her voice.
I had a good time writing it. And if you'd like to learn it and sing it with me afterwards, fine.
This is the earliest recording of Buffalo native Madeline Davis, singing the very first gay liberation anthem that she wrote in 1971, after attending her first gay rights protest in Albany, New York.
And she was so inspired by seeing the members of her community on the steps that she immediately went to her car and wrote down some lyrics. And those lyrics became a song called Stonewall Nation, which is our first sort of recorded anthem of the gay liberation movement.
An anthem that echoes, especially for Adrienne Hill, Executive Director of the Buffalo Niagara LGBTQ History Project.
You know, it's not just a movement, it's a community, it's a shared history, it's a shared culture, and it's not just researching history that makes that kind of continuity and that kind of connection. It is art like Madeline made that does that as well.
Davis's voice is one of thousands of things that have been preserved at the E.H. Butler Library at SUNY Buffalo State in the Dr. Madeline Davis LGBTQ Archive of Western New York, one of the largest collections of its kind in the world, in a project that, according to Hill, Davis started instinctually.
You know, she was a librarian, you know, by profession, and so she's coming to this project with the sensibility of an archivist herself.
Having grown up in the working-class lesbian bars of Buffalo in the 50s and 60s, and during the gay liberation movement, Davis knew there'd be a story to preserve, and not just hers.
she started to petition her friends to give her their things, their meeting minutes, their drag outfits, anything you can imagine that might be part of this community she asked for.
The names of donors adorning over 300 boxes containing photos of Buffalo's so-called drag mama, Vicky Vogue, meeting minutes from Buffalo's first gay rights organization, the Mattachine Society of the Niagara Frontier, and LGBTQ publications like Fifth Freedom.
Lyrics of Madeline Davis's songs in the back. This is not Stonewall Nation, but it's one of her other songs.
According to archivist Dan DeLandro, around 100 feet of new material is being added every year, like these original tapes of the radio program Stonewall Nation, named after the anthem. Beyond her music, Davis's voice is preserved in other ways, like this handwritten speech from the 1972 DNC convention, where she'd become the first out lesbian delegate and the first to call for gay rights to be included in the platform of any political party.
The speaker who just started is Madeline Davis, a 32-year-old communications worker from Buffalo, New York, who just identified herself as a lesbian.
Now we are coming out of our closets and onto the convention floor to tell you, the delegates, and to tell all gay people throughout America that we are here to put an end to our fears.
The archive, while mostly historical, is also living, as Hill discovered while we were walking the aisles.
There's my name, actually. In 2018, we put together an event on Buffalo's Black LGBTQ community. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Have you seen that area?
It's my first time, yeah. And I think I'm in here in other ways too. So that's very cool. And yeah.
It is powerful to see oneself, one's community, respected and remembered, making the legacy of Madeline Davis not what sits on these shelves, but what happens beyond the walls of Butler Library.
I don't want to see my brothers kicked into the dust no more. Their dreams all turn to rust. It's just so incredible to see these, like, you know, see the notes of people of generations before you and see how they are similar to and different from you. And to just know that there's a whole sort of community that was here before you that left its mark and that you get to live, you know, on the mark they made.
No more, no more. And the Stonewall Nation gonna have its liberation. Wait and see, just wait and see. You can take your time.
And that was our Rob Hackford reporting. Well, Pride in Buffalo has always been built on visibility and on people willing and wanting to be seen. One of those voices comes through drag and performance, where identity and activism intersect. Siobhan Davis has been performing for decades, helping shape what Pride looks like in Buffalo today. Channel 2's Natalie Foss shares how her story and her impact are rooted in decades of persistence.
Pride means different things to different people.
Buffalo Pride is meant to be a stage, basically, for the community to shine.
But at its core, it's about community, visibility, and belonging.
A celebration of the history of Pride in Buffalo and beyond. It could be a celebration of your community, your heroes. You could just be colorful.
And for many, that stage didn't just appear overnight. It was built over decades by people who fought to be seen. A key part of that history is drag and performance art. And one Buffalo performer who helped shape that story is Siobhan Davis.
I've been doing drag for over 44 years, and 1 year I'm going to get it right.
But it hasn't always been easy, especially in the beginning.
One time we were doing a show at the bar called the Villa Capri, and the Buffalo police raided the bar. And it was during the winter, freezing out, and everybody had to leave the bar showing ID. And there was myself and 4 other drag queens, and we had to take everything off, everything, to prove that we were a man.
Those experiences are part of a much larger story, one that also includes pushing for representation in Buffalo's history. Siobhan helped push for the first gay float in the Buffalo Sesquicentennial Parade back in 1982, even suing the city after the initial request was denied.
I wanted to have a gay float, because it was supposed to be representing all of Buffalo.
And she got her float, paving the way for what Pride in Buffalo looks like today. A celebration she's watched grow for decades.
And it's just so many people from all walks of life. And it's wonderful seeing all of that.
And even now, her message stays rooted in connection and understanding.
Regardless of your age, your generation, your political affiliation or something, learn about why somebody does something and who they are before you judge them.
For Siobhan, her mission is clear.
So my rule I always do is if I can make one person laugh, feel good about themselves, forget about things, I've done my job for the day.
One of the things we talk about a lot is really giving youth an opportunity to understand that they're part of a larger community.
Creating community. It's just one way the Pride Center of Western New York and GLIS are making an impact. Coming up, how they're supporting LGBTQ+ youth and connecting kids with life-saving support. Plus,
once Pride Month is over, all the queer books get kind of shelved to the back of the store. And we're like, we wanted a place where everything was kind of front and center year round.
we'll take you inside the Buffalo bookstore that's turning the page on what inclusion can look like. See how they're helping people see themselves in the stories they read. That and more when Western New York Rooted in Pride returns. A Two on Your Side special, Western New York Rooted in Pride, continues now. On the corner of Hurdle and North Park, there's a bookstore that started as a pop-up and quickly grew into something much more. M&M's Books is now a community space where readers are encouraged to explore, ask questions, and find themselves in the stories on the shelf. As Channel 2's Courtney Courtwright reports, they've created a space centered on safety, representation, and belonging.
Near the corner of North Park Ave and Hurdle Ave sits M&M's Books.
We were a pop-up for a while and we were kind of growing slowly, and then we just kind of happened to see that this store was for rent and gave it a shot.
We didn't think we would be here so soon, and it feels very much like we are here solely because of the people around us and the community around us.
Owners Emily Graham and Emma Hayes have always had a passion for reading. So you might say opening this storefront in 2025 was a fitting next chapter.
We're just hoping people come in with an open mind, be a little curious, ask us lots of questions, and just try something new.
Because here, reading is important.
They see the books we stock and they go, oh, it's not necessarily a traditional bookstore.
As is helping people feel seen and what they find on the shelves.
It's safe to be who they are, that it's okay to be who they are, and that there are people around them that are supporting them and with them.
Look around and you'll find a wide variety of genres, including stories highlighting LGBTQIA+, Indigenous, and women authors and perspectives.
Something as small as a book might seem so mundane or so little to be so concerned about diversifying and showing up and showcasing these types of titles and authors, but it's the little things that kind of make a person, and it's the little things that make a community.
Community. It's something Graham and Hayes show up for and support. A portion of their monthly proceeds goes to organizations and charities supporting LGBTQIA+ women and Indigenous communities.
There's so many exciting things happening during Pride, but we also wanted to kind of keep that going year-round. So, in the books we stock, in the events we do, in the charities we support, in the kind of community we want to build. Because a lot of times, that was one of the reasons that we wanted to start this bookstore, was that we would go around to a lot of bookstores, and especially like once Pride Month is over, all the queer books get kind of shelved to the back of the store. And we're like, we wanted a place where everything was kind of front and center year round. So,
because on the corner of Hurdle and North Park, M&M's Books is more than a bookstore. It's a place built on community, inclusivity, representation, and connection.
It's everything I wanted growing up. It's everything I want as an adult. And I just hope that people feel the same way, that they feel safe and they feel welcome, and that, they find themselves in the books that we have.
Thank you, Courtney. From bookstores to safe spaces across the community, Pride Month in Western New York is also about the programs and resources supporting the LGBTQ+ community. And that support is especially critical for young people, especially those who feel isolated at school or at home. That's where organizations like the Pride Center of Western New York and GLIS step in, helping youth feel seen and supported and understood. For Jack Kavanaugh, making sure LGBTQ+ youth have community support is crucial.
One of the things we talk about a lot is really giving youth an opportunity to understand that they're part of a larger community, that there's a world that exists. Because for a lot of them, you know, when they're in high school especially, they might be the only LGBTQ student at their school. There might be a couple. And so it can feel really isolating and alone, particularly if they don't have a supportive home life. And so obviously having access to safe and affirming relationships, peer supports, things like that are critically important. But also just being able to show them that there's a whole world for them. There's safe, healthy, and happy adults who share identities with them, who live life successfully.
Kavanaugh is the executive director of the Pride Center of Western New York and GLIS, which serves LGBTQ+ youth, their families, and their caregivers.
So our main program is always our drop-in center. It's been running pretty continuously since we started as an organization 43 years ago. Currently, it's open after school Tuesdays and Thursdays for youth 13 to 17.
There's also a family support group, a youth support group, and access to case management and support, mental health services, and more.
For youth that need a little bit of that extra, more formal support, they're able to access our case manager, a mental health counselor from Best Self, as well as peer supports, all on site. A lot of young people need help with housing, food access, particularly as they're aging out of high school. What does that look like? Getting jobs. And so we're able to, really provide that support there as well, because, really it's a suicide prevention program. And so when you're connected to community, you have safe housing, work, home life, all of those things, the risk of suicide goes down significantly.
GLIS also hosts Pride Alive at Babeville after the Pride Parade every year, a family and youth-oriented event with games and resources. What's it like to see people making connections like that?
Oh, it's great. It's one of the most fun parts, being able to see. And our numbers have grown up so much over the past year or two, really. And so sometimes we'll have 30, 40 kids that are coming after school just to connect and build social relationships and just sort of be themselves. And one of the things we talk about is just making sure it's a space where no one has to leave any part of themselves at the door when they walk in. They can be their full selves, whatever that looks like. And there's not a lot of spaces where they can do that, unfortunately.
We just want to be a space that people can come, they can be themselves without fear of retribution. And that's the most important mission that we've always gone after.
So, what makes a space feel safe? For many in Buffalo's LGBTQ+ community, the answer can be found at 26 Allen, why its role goes far beyond the bar. Plus,
this kind of gives us an outlet where they can just show up, be who they are, and meet new friends and play the games.
Pride in Buffalo isn't just being celebrated on parade routes and festival stages. We'll introduce you to the Kickball League that's helping thousands of people find friendship, connection, and community, one game at a time, when Western New York Rooted in Pride returns. Welcome back now to a Two on Your Side special, Western New York Rooted in Pride. In the heart of Buffalo's Allentown neighborhood, there's a space that's become a gathering point for community, connection, and safety. 26 Allen is known as a welcoming place where people can come together, whether for a night out, events, conversations, or simply a sense of belonging. Channel 2's Chelsea Swift shares how locations like this play an important role in making sure people feel seen, supported, and at home in their own city.
For many in Buffalo's LGBTQ+ community, safe spaces are about more than just a place to go out.
It means more than physical safety. It means being able to walk into a room and be who you want to be and feel welcomed.
Michael Mach says that's exactly what inspired 26 Allen. An Allentown bar he and 3 other co-owners opened 3 years ago.
We have a saying up on the wall that we've written, and it just says, if you don't understand a bar or a club as a safe space, you've never been afraid to hold someone's hand in public. And that just rings true throughout the whole thing. We just want to be a space that people can come, they can be themselves without fear of retribution.
The goal, create a space where everyone is welcome and where people can show up as themselves without fear. Longtime Buffalo resident Anthony Chase says there's value in having a place for queer people to gather. He says 40 years ago, social attitudes were different, and some expressed hatred towards the LGBTQ+ community.
And there's a history of that, a history of violence, of oppression. It's, we joke a lot, but that's real. And so queer spaces continue to be very important. And to Buffalo, it's very important that 26 reinvented itself.
The owners of 26 say they wanted the bar to be inclusive.
Queer bars historically in the past have been, very centered around a specific community, either a gay bar, a lesbian bar, something very specific. And we wanted to throw that out when we walked in. This was a bar for queer people.
That inclusivity is something Val Lopez says is felt beyond the bar itself, including Buffalo's Queer Run Club. The group gathers at 6 p.m. every Tuesday, and the first Tuesday of the month, they meet at 26.
You think queer Buffalo, you're just like, oh, 26. I haven't lived in Buffalo that long, maybe 2 years, and I feel like it's one of the first places I came and definitely felt comfortable.
Lopez says the Run Club was created not just for fitness, but to be a safe space for people who are interested in running and meeting new people. And Chase says queer bars and clubs like 26 have made Western New York a more accepting place.
The first same-sex marriage in the state of New York, Niagara Falls, 2 women got married there. Buffalo has been at the forefront for decades. And a lot of it is these bars, these queer spaces, have made it so.
And Pride Month in Buffalo is being celebrated in many ways, and not all of them are on stages or nightlife spaces. One organization has spent the last 7 years building community through something simple: sports. Out Loud Buffalo has grown into one of the largest LGBTQ+ kickball leagues in the whole country. And as Channel 2's Nate Mills shows us, it's about far more than the game.
Pride Month is here. And while many celebrations are centered around bars and clubs, Out Loud Buffalo has spent the last 7 years building community in a different way.
I've brought some people into the league that were friends that I've met through passing, and they didn't have that community, and they've been able to build it through playing sports with us.
Katie Anna started Out Loud after moving back to Western New York from Long Beach, California, where she saw a similar rec league have success. What started with 60 players in year 1 has turned into more than 2,300 today, making it one of the largest gay kickball leagues in the country.
I was looking for more queer people to be friends with, and so I just showed up blind one day, didn't know anybody on the league. I just walked in and I was greeted by somebody grilling hot dogs and playing music, and they gave me a free pair of sunglasses, and I felt immediately at home and never looked back. I've made every person I know now in my life I've met through this league.
The league allows players to sign up as free agents, no team, no connections required. Many arrive not knowing a single person.
It was nice to meet you, Bo.
The sport itself is intentionally approachable, no experience necessary.
We've made dozens of friends, people that we hang out with. We do movie nights. We, plan vacations. Go on small trips with each other. It's crazy how big of a foundation you can build with people over the years and just doing, sports like this, kickball of all things.
The league operates in more than 35 cities nationwide, but members say Buffalo's version, it's a little different. They point to the city's deep-rooted sports culture as part of what makes it thrive here. When registration opened this season, Anna says 200 players signed up within 5 days. Gay, straight, and everyone in between.
The LGBTQ+ community might have not always felt comfortable playing sports, and this kind of gives us an outlet where they can just show up, be who they are, and meet new friends and play the game.
Good job, Clay. What begins as a Thursday night kickball game has a way of expanding into something much larger.
It started as sports, but we've had book clubs, we've had walk clubs, we've had dog pack walks, and joining anything, and once you're in the community, all the other events pop up at you, and you can attend different things and meet new people that way as well.
I came from a small town near Syracuse, and this is this would not exist out there. And this stuff definitely helps you get integrated into the city. I feel so much more comfortable navigating Buffalo without a GPS because of this.
Natalie Picarazzi has watched the broader LGBTQ sports scene in Buffalo grow alongside the league. She points to a Pride 5K at SUNY Niagara that drew just a dozen or so runners from her kickball team a few years ago. This past spring, more than 300 showed up.
Just seeing it grow and seeing you follow each other on social media and you share the events and you celebrate the events, and it's an amazing thing to watch something grow right before your eyes.
As we celebrate Pride Month, the stories we've shared are a reminder that progress is built by people who came before us and those still carrying that work forward today. From safe spaces to community celebrations, Western New York's LGBTQ+ story continues to grow. Thank you so much for joining us for this 2 on Your Side special, Western New York Rooted in Pride. I'm Kelly Dudzik. Have a great day.